Hi everyone, I'm Obscure Girl. I like movies. I like weird movies. I like weird, trippy, obscure movies that I feel like no one has seen or is talking about. Whether that be because the marketing was so bad, or because it's just old, or because you're like, I think that was a fever dream I had when I was 5. I'm here to tell you it wasn't. Let's talk about it. So, it is spooky season. It's officially spooky season. Like for real, for real, for real this time. Not that it wasn't before. Honestly, July 5th and forward is spooky season for me. However, I had already given you guys a list, spooky season watch list back in August. And now that we are officially in October, I want to give you another list because I just couldn't narrow it down to one for each category that I found for the last video. So there will be 13 different categories. These are categories that I made up that I just felt were important for this kind of season. Honestly, a lot of these could be interchangeable with the categories. Just kind of bear with me. I'll try to keep this as brief as I possibly can. It should be spoiler free. Honestly, I'm probably just going to tell you a synopsis and maybe one or two things I like about the movie, series, whatever. And yeah, I also just want to throw out there that this is a spooky watch list for movies that you wouldn't automatically think of. This is definitely more not, it's not Hocus Pocus, Beetlejuice, Nightmare Before Christmas. This is the secondary or tertiary even movies that you would think of. So if you're kind of tired of the same old thing, or if you've already watched all of that by now for spooky season, here's some more to add to your list. And I am putting these in order of what I think like least recommended to most recommended. And by saying that, obviously this is a watch list. I'm recommending all of these. So even the ones I'm least recommending are still ones I think you should watch. But it's just more and more as the list goes until we get to the one where I'm like, absolutely flip and watch this. Here we go. Our first category is Scooby Doo. And for this one, I wanted to definitely shout out. I just did Scooby Doo month. I just did my top 10 rankings of my favorite Scooby Doo movies. So obviously, I have to put my number one pick as my recommendation. So that would be Scooby Doo and the Ghoul School.
Scooby Doo and the Ghoul School.
This is one of the OG classics. This was back in 1988, and it is where Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy take a job as a gym teacher for an all girls school, and not knowing that those girls are actually ghouls and they are the daughters of the traditional universal monsters such as Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, the mummy, the phantom, etc. And it is so cute, and just having that universal monster feel but also with like girl power kind of thing, it's just really really great. There's some Adams Family vibes to it for sure, and there's this really cute competition between the ghoul school and this all boys military school where they have a volleyball tournament every year. And so that's a big part of it, and what they don't realize is that this evil, like, not sea hag, but like bog hag, I guess, is trying to kidnap the girls so she can control their minds and control their dads. It's really fun. It's OG classic Scooby. There's no Fred, Daphne, or Velma in these old ones, but it is a lot of fun. I know some people aren't crazy about Scrappy Doo. I never had a problem with him personally. But in this movie, I definitely think he's an asset, and I think that it's just fun and it's great for the season. Our next category is the Gothic category, which might as well be called the Tim Burton category because both movies I picked for this were Tim Burton's. This time around, I am going with Corpse Bride.
Tim Burton's Corpse Bride.
I know automatically for Halloween everyone wants to go to Nightmare Before Christmas, and they should. It's a classic for a reason. But Corpse Bride I feel like needs just a little bit more love. It is a beautiful gothic atmosphere. It is such a fun story of a guy who has this arranged marriage going on. He actually is really nervous about it, but then meets her and is kind of looking forward to it, but he keeps screwing up. And he's practicing his vows out in the woods and accidentally says his vows to the corpse of a girl who has been lying there underneath this tree for whoever knows how long. And he ends up joining her in the land of the dead and is just trying to get back to his real life fiance. It is Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter as the main two voices. There are a lot of voices in here that are really, really great. Of course, Christopher Lee has to be in it because Tim Burton has such a crush on Christopher Lee, rightfully so. And just again, the character designs and the atmosphere. It is a claymation and it is gorgeous. It's just gorgeous from beginning to end. The score by Danny Elfman is so soothing and wonderful. And it's just like a cozy, feel good, fun, gothic ride for the whole family, honestly. Definitely recommend checking this one out. Our next category is radio horror. I am a weird person. I actually found another weird person and I married him, but we love listening to those old radio dramas. Like when we're driving late at night, they still pop up sometimes on certain stations, and you can listen to the old, like, horror stories that were just done for the radio. And I actually recently, well, not so recently for this one, know of a movie where the radio drama aspect is very prevalent in the movie. This one being Haunted Honeymoon,
Haunted Honeymoon.
starring Gene Wilder and Gilda Radner, also Dom DeLuise and Jonathan Pryce. It is a great movie about two radio stars who just got engaged, and Gene Wilder's character has been very scared ever since they first got engaged. And so his family understands what's going on. His uncle is an unconventional psychiatrist, and they plan to basically take him back to his family home for the wedding and scare him back to normal. However, they don't realize that there's also an actual murder plot going on at the same time. So there are the intentional scares and then the things that are actually happening. It's really, really fun. Gene Wilder and Gilda Radner were a perfect couple, and it is so prevalent in this movie. It's just so much fun. There's like an impromptu musical number that comes out of nowhere that's super great. And Jonathan Pryce is like young Jonathan Pryce is really kind of charming in this, and I just love it. It's so kooky and so fun, and it feels like you are watching a radio horror story. The next category is our series category, which again might as well be called the Flaniverse category, because once again, we are doing a Mike Flanagan Netflix project, this time around, The Fall of the House of Usher. I don't want to throw around the term masterpiece, but it's a masterpiece. It's so fantastic. It takes all these stories of Edgar Allan Poe, the overarching one, of course, being The Fall of the House of Usher, but each episode talks about how this bajillionaire big pharma CEO's family, he had 6 kids by 5 different women, and he has been pushing this drug for years and years and years that he claims is a non-addictive painkiller. However, it is super addictive. But each of his kids, they say in the first episode, it's not a spoiler, has already died by the start of the show.
Your brother's dead.
So each episode is showing how those kids died one by one in terms of a different Edgar Allan Poe story. And they'll tell you right in the title what story you're about to get. They honestly, like, again, not so much spoilers, but they go kind of in terms of age in order. And the effects that they do for this, the writing, once again, Mike Flanagan's storytelling is just mwah. It's so perfect. I can't. The acting is above and beyond. Um, my favorite characters being Leo and Camille, of course. But episode 1 will get you hooked. It'll get you curious. Episode 2, they have a scene at the end that is so next level, that is so graphic. And not just the look and the effects, it's the sounds. Throughout the whole show, the sound editing will freak you out more than anything else. Yes, there's the occasional jump scare. Yes, there is serious gore in this show, but the sounds will get you. And once again, Carla Gugino is so good and so pretty. She's so pretty, but also so good. Uh, I Please watch it. Like, if you like gore, if you love Edgar Allan Poe, this is a beautiful tribute. This is a ridiculously well written show. And just, oh my God, please watch it. If you haven't already, what are you doing? Go now. Go. Go. Our next category is slasher. I also just want to throw out there, I just finally saw the Terrifier movies and definitely know what all the hype was about. That was a beautiful love letter to the classic slashers of a modern era. Very well done. However, the one I want to talk about right now is Candyman 2.
Candyman, farewell to the flesh.
I know it's slightly sacrilegious for a Chicago girl to talk about the second one above the original, but I really like the second one. Like, the first one is great, of course, and Chicago, Laura, Cabrini Green, all that good stuff. But the second one takes place in New Orleans during Mardi Gras, and it has more lore in the Candyman backstory and stuff going into like his family and how he became how he is, and it's just really fun. Um, it's a classic slasher for a reason, but with like these creepy, spooky Mardi Gras vibes throughout the whole thing, and I absolutely love those vibes. It's a cozy slasher movie. How about that? Now for our modern category, The Curse of Bridge Hollow. I just saw this movie for the first time this year, and it's a really cozy, nice family movie. Marlon Wayans made a family appropriate movie. Who'd have thought? It is a cute movie about Marlon Wayans, and the one thing I will throw out here that is the least believable thing in this movie, Marlon Wayans' wife is played by Kelly Rowland, and as adorable as all the Wayans brothers are, they're not get a Destiny's Child cute. But I digress. But they move with their daughter from the city to this small place called Bridge Hollow. It's supposed to be the safest place in America, and they are obsessed with Halloween. And it's really cool how they do it. Each house on in town basically picks a theme every year, and they go ham with the Halloween decorations. And Marlon Wayans plays this kind of almost a Scrooge against Halloween character. He's a scientist, and one thing I do like about it is that they paint the sciency guy almost as they would, in the olden days, paint a jock. They were very much like, no, like it's not, horrible to be a science nerd or anything like that. They're actually more looking down on the people who enjoy the paranormal stuff, which was not triggering for me at all. Um, but then all of a sudden, there is the actual origin story of Jack o' Lantern, Stingy Jack. They actually went with the Irish folklore original story. Um, and they bring this character in, and all of a sudden, all of these Halloween decorations throughout the town start coming to life. And that is super, super cool. And it was really cute and a comfy family movie. The fall atmosphere is great. I will say there is one arachnophobia kind of scene. So if you're not a spiders person, that might not be for you. But everything else is just really fun. They have some genuine spooky stuff, which I really liked. It's not for little kids. There's some swears. There's a little bit of like gore against costumes, I suppose. But otherwise, it's a really fun family movie for the older kids, and I totally recommend it. It's time for my turbo niche category, and that being based on a Disney ride. Now, I know I could have just gone both Haunted Mansion iterations, but I didn't because last time I really wanted to talk about the Tower of Terror movie. This time around, I really want to talk about the Haunted Mansion 2023. I love this movie. It is one of my immediate comfort movies. If you love the ride, it is such a love letter to the ride of both the Disneyland and Disney World versions. It I liked the original Eddie Murphy version, don't get me wrong. I liked the feel of it, the atmosphere, the whimsy. However, it wasn't really the ride. This one very much is like, hey, you get as many of the ghosts and as many of the story as you possibly can, with the exception of I feel like they kind of did Constance Hatchaway a little dirty, but I would have liked a little bit more of her. But what they do with the Hatbox Ghost and what they do with just all of the other ghosts and the story and going back to the homage of William Gracie and just all of the Imagineers. There is a beautiful homage to Rolly Crump, who is one of the original Imagineers that they say is the Hatbox Ghost. And they show both the New Orleans Disneyland version of the ride and the more New England kind of Disney World version of the ride, and it's beautiful. And there's so many guest stars, and the story itself is also really great. It talks a lot about grief and how, with the right people in your life, you can get through that, and how it's okay to grieve. And sometimes it's important to just celebrate the life, and how death can even be a beginning. And the I know a lot of people were worried about it being too much of a comedy. And I will throw out there that the original concept for the Disney ride was split between the two main Imagineers wanting to make it both funny and scary. And so that I think they did a lot better in this one than they did in the old version, is that it has a lot of creep factor to it. It has a lot of even like scares at points. But yeah, it's also funny. Like Owen Wilson's great, Tiffany Haddish is great. It's fun, it's cozy, I like it. And the chemistry between Rosario Dawson and the leading guy is really nice. It's really cool how they kind of go from this like friendship that could be more kind of thing, and they don't just rush into a love story. I like it. It's really, really cozy, and it's just something, it's a safe watch, honestly, for me at least. Our next category is musical horror. This one's fun. This time around, I picked The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. The Disney cartoon classic. It was one of the early Disney movies. It's basically two shorts combined, with like just an overarching. It's Bing Crosby and Basil Rathbone, I believe, and they're talking about their favorite characters from literature. And so the first half of it is Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Basically, it's The Wind in the Willows, which can have its creepy moments, but it's not the scary version. The second half is Sleepy Hollow with Ichabod Crane. It is a lot closer to the original story material than the Tim Burton movie is, but actually, which is funny because in this one, Ichabod's kind of a douche a little bit. He mostly uses women for food and cooking, but I digress. But when they get to the actual headless horseman scary part, it's genuinely chilling. Like you can watch it with the kids, but it's definitely one of those like, okay, like Disney went there. And the songs are really cute, and they're kind of bouncy little tunes. You can just kind of like tap your toes to. So definitely a recommendation, especially if you have tiny kids. Our next category is kid rich movie. I wonder what the next category will be. This time around, I want to talk about Paranorman.
Paranorman.
Which is a movie that I had thought that I had seen a long time ago and apparently hadn't, because I watched it again thinking like, wait, do I remember this one? And I totally didn't. And oh my god, I was missing out because this movie's fantastic. It's a claymation story by the same people that did Coraline, of a young boy who can see ghosts. And he tends to relate more to the ghosts than he does to the live people around him. And, same old story, like parents don't understand, sisters kind of a bully to him, kids at school are bullies to him, the teachers are bullies to him. However, there is this curse in this town of a witch that was hung by these like town elders back in pilgrim times. And there is a curse with her, and there is some revenge or whatever. So when Norman's creepy Uncle Pendergast shows up with saying that he just died, and he needs Norman to carry on this tradition of making sure the witch doesn't wake up on Halloween. And when that doesn't exactly happen, things get weird. And the surprise twist at the end of this movie as to who the witch is and how that all goes. Wow. Just wow. Fantastic writing. Oh my god. Um and it's not the prettiest movie. The claymation's purposely pretty gross and a lot of points. Everyone looks at least a little bit silly, but that's part of the charm, honestly, kind of. Uh, and when there's like zombies and things like that, like they look pretty much just as gross as the rest of the people, which I think was definitely a choice that they made. Definitely check this movie out. For the twist alone is so great. And The whole movie, it made me laugh, it made me think. It's a kids' movie. It shouldn't be doing all of that, but it did. So check it out. Surprise, surprise! Our next category is adult witch movie. Ah. This time around, I'm going to be talking about The Witches of Eastwick.
With the Witches of Eastwick.
This is a movie that I just showed to some of my girlfriends because they hadn't seen it. And it's kind of funny that how many people haven't seen it with the cast. The main three characters are Cher, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Susan Sarandon, and the leading man is Jack Nicholson. This is a really fun movie about these three women who are single by what they call the 3 Ds: death, desertion, or divorce. And they have between them, like Michelle Pfeiffer has like 6 kids, Cher has one, Susan Sarandon has none. Anyway, they're not that big part of the movie. But they find out that when they get together and they tend to think the same thing at the same time, that happens. So one night they're having girls' night, they're drinking, and they talk about what they're looking for in a man. And combined together what they would want in one man. And all of a sudden, this mysterious guy shows up and buys this big castle in town. And it's Jack Nicholson. And they end up forming this kind of like sort of polyamorous, more like polygamy, where it's like one guy and multiple girls. Please, I'm so sorry if I'm messing that up. I don't think I am, but if I am, I'm so sorry. But they end up having this relationship where all 3 girls are dating this one guy, and then slowly but surely find out he's the devil. So there's that. There's a bunch of really fun scenes with like little tricks and witchcraft things that they do. But a lot of it is just the fun of these characters interacting with each other. It is definitely worth the watch. Check it out. I absolutely love this movie. Our next category is monster mashup. This is where you have multiple of the Universal monsters in the same movie. And this time around, I'm going to recommend Van Helsing.
Van Helsing.
I love this movie. I don't understand anyone that doesn't. I quote it constantly. Hugh Jackman as the lead in younger Hugh Jackman. Oh my goodness. Kate Beckinsale? This movie is a buy panic. Okay, and the guy who is playing Dracula, I'm going to put his name here because I'm going to forget right now. I'm so sorry. But this is the only thing I've ever been like, okay. Because the other things he's been in is like the Duke in Moulin Rouge, where he's seriously repulsive. He played Elvis's dad in Elvis, also gross. And he played M in The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which was like, whatever. But in this one, I'm just like, okay, I know he's Dracula, so that's probably part of it, but like, ooh, okay. And Dracula's 3 brides are absolutely stunning, and they're such fun characters. And Carl, who is kind of like their version of Igor, even though Igor is in this, is absolutely hilarious. I quote him the most out of all of this. And it's just this fun movie where you have Van Helsing, who, instead of him being like the research scientist he is originally from the movies, is kind of the assassin of the monster world. And this time around, he is sent to Transylvania to help this family of Romani royalty, and they are being picked off one by one by Dracula, his wolfman, henchman, basically, and his brides. And so they end up, he goes there and ends up finding more secrets about his past that he didn't know. And it's so fun. Like, it's action packed for sure. There's also just, it's so fun how they pack in all of the Universal monsters into this one cohesive bit of lore that is really cool, while also sticking to the key points of the originals. In some points, even sticking closer to the books, also, because in this one, Frankenstein's monster can talk and reason with people, and he just wants to exist. And, he loved Dr. Frankenstein as his father and was very upset that he was gone. It's just so good. Watch it. If you've already watched it and you're like, I hate it, please just give it another chance. It's such a fun movie. We're down to our top 2 categories, and this one is double feature. This meaning this is a movie and its remake that I think you should watch both of. And this time around, it is 13 Ghosts.
To William Castle, whom the Saturday Evening Post calls the master of movie horror.
Do you believe in ghosts?
So I just finally saw the original one for the first time recently, and I don't like it as much as the remake, but I genuinely enjoyed it, especially because Margaret Hamilton is in it, the Wicked Witch of the West, and they make all these nods to her being the Witch of the West.
No. She's even got a broom.
They literally even like call her the witch in multiple points. They are just like, "Oh, where's your broom?" Like she literally even like winks to the camera at one point when she's holding a broom. It is so awesome. And you can definitely see this is like the stepping stones which the remake was built off of. And it's really cool to see. It was a William Castle project. It was one of the first like 3D glasses kind of movie where they were like, "Oh, you put on these glasses, you can see the spirit realm." So I love William Castle movies because they all came with their own little gimmicks and tricks for the theaters to do. And I think that would have been such a cool time to be alive when this was like the first times they were doing this stuff. And then you have the remake with Tony Shalhoub and Matthew Lillard being adorable. And I'm very much one of those people where I'm like, I would absolutely watch a spin off series where they give an origin for each of the 13 ghosts in this house. Both of them are the story of a father. In the original, his wife's alive. In the remake, of course, she's not. And his two kids, older teenage girl, younger boy. And they're dirt poor, not doing well financially. And he ends up inheriting a house from his eccentric uncle, who just like, okay, cool, we have a place to live. That's awesome. And quickly find out the place is purposely super haunted because his uncle was a ghost hunter and he had built this house to collect some of the most evil ghosts out there. And Matthew Lillard in this one plays, he was the uncle's assistant, so he knows what's going on. And he's like, "Yo, your house is evil. Like, you do not want to live here." And they're like, "We have nowhere else to go. So, yeah, we're going to live here. Also, you're crazy." I definitely think that the remake is more fun, and the effects in it are fantastic, and the story is a lot more detailed and cohesive. But the original is still really cool to watch, especially if you're a Wizard of Oz nerd like me. Finally, we are here. The category I absolutely recommend the highest. It's a three-parter. So, slightly cheating, slightly not. I don't know. The last time was a mini-series, so it was all one story. This time around, it is a trilogy, and I think you should absolutely, if you haven't already, check out the Fear Street trilogy on Netflix.
It's been 3 centuries. It stops here.
Your best chance is to run from this place.
On Shadyside, we're all cursed. The devil is in me.
I was a Fear Street girl, big time. I loved Goosebumps, but I very quickly graduated onto the Fear Street stuff, especially the Fear Street cheerleader stuff, which is basically just Goosebumps for older kids. And it doesn't follow a single storyline, which I appreciate, because there was just so many. Same thing with Goosebumps. There was just so many to just pick one cohesive storyline. But it very much encompasses the overarching story and the feel of Fear Street, which I really appreciated. In fact, when I first saw the trailers for these coming out, I screamed so loud. My husband ran into the room, and he's used to hearing me scream over random things, but this time was a little bit, it lasted a long time, this scream. So, anyway. And basically, it tells the story of the two rivaling towns, Shadyside and Sunnyvale, where everything good happens in Sunnyvale, and it's all the rich, wealthy people. And Shadyside not only has so much bad stuff going for them and is the poorer side of town, but they actively have regular serial killers at least once a generation that come and take out a bunch of people. And there's the ongoing story that this is all because of a witch from the Salem times called Sarah Fear. And so the first movie is 1994, then you have 1978, and then you have 1666. I will actually say the second one is my favorite in all of this, which I rarely say in trilogies. Normally the second one is far from my favorite, but this time it absolutely is. The first one has a lot of nostalgia vibes for the 90s. A lot of it like takes place in a mall, which like, oh my gosh, I remember that this feels so familiar. And then it's kind of like setting up the story, which we have a very lovely lesbian storyline as well, which is very, very sweet. And then in the Second one, it goes back to 1978, where like one of the only people that ever survived one of these happenstances with a serial killer, what happened to her. And it's a camp horror, which I normally don't like camp horror either. So this movie is totally an anomaly all over. But it has Sadie something from Stranger Things. I'm so sorry, I'm forgetting her name right now. Sadie Sink, I believe. I think it just takes all of the tropes of camp horror and puts them into this movie and gets rid of all of the weird bits that don't work, like the weird pacing and the uncomfortable music and things like that. It gets rid of all of that. In fact, it has a lot of Bowie in it, so of course I'm going to love it. But that one tells that story. And then 1666 goes back to the time of Sarah Fear and when it all happened, and uses a lot of the actors from the other two movies to kind of like tell the story better in different roles. And you figure out, like, oh, that's what really happened, and then go back to the present to fix the situation. I really like these movies. I watched the first one with a friend just this last week, just to be like, no, you got to watch this. And, he was like, okay, it's almost like a little bit for teens for sure. And I'm like, I think of it more as it's for adults that have nostalgia for Fear Street. But yeah, it could also very much be geared towards older, mature teens that have consenting parents. Uh, but there's definitely a lot of serious, serious, serious gore in these movies as well. Serious gore. There is a scene with a bread slicer. Yeah, if you know, you know. Oh my god. Uh, but yeah, absolutely love the Fear Street trilogy. Recommend it highly. Check it out. And that was my spooky watch list, part 2. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you check out these movies. Please let me know if you do, especially if it's your first time. Let me know in the comments what you thought of these. If you've already seen them, please also let me know what you thought. If you have more stuff that you would have added to this list, especially in these categories, let me know in the comments. I want to hear. Recommend stuff to me. I also need recommendations for spooky season. I'm not done watching. Are you kidding? Pretty please like this video if you like this video. Share it out to your friends if you think they need some recommendations. Subscribe. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. I want to make this channel grow. You would be doing me such a solid. Also, check me out on Patreon. Uh, be a patron. That'd be cool. You can help me get better, sound equipment so I don't sound like this anymore. And better lighting and stuff, which would be absolutely fantastic. I want this channel to grow. I want the conversation to grow. I want people to be aware of movies they wouldn't normally be aware of. Please help me do that. Have a great spooky season. We'll still be talking with a couple more to come. I've been Obscure Girl, and the rest is confetti.